What if we could learn from outstanding leaders in business, sports, and education from some of the best voices in corporate America? Lighting the Path is a series of interviews with industry leaders whose stories highlight strategies that build purpose-driven cultures, engage and retain top talent, develop drivers that create high-performance teams, and connect people to the vision of your company. Join us to hear from game-changing, talented leaders whose paths make a difference at work and at home.
Maybe that was quite natural for me because I got put into some positions very young where I was working with people who were a lot older than me and had a lot more experience than me. And I didn't know how to do their jobs. I didn't have their experience and their wisdom, and I respected them. And so, my very first day at Avery Dennison in 1999, I gave a service award to a 35-year employee when I was 25 years old. And that was extremely awkward, but he was great, and we all became very close, and to this day, deep respect and love for them. But I never pretended to be superior to know more. I just knew that I had a job to get the team working well together and to have a cadence of performance and an awareness of the goals and a shared approach to get there. And that just always served me well. It probably is no mistake that I have a marketing and finance background and MBA, but I always worked in chemical companies with these like
Mm.
really technical engineers and chemists and stuff. And maybe that was a blessing because I didn't try to do their jobs. I never pretended to know what they knew. I really respected that you're that expert and I'm this expert and we're better together.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's recognizing that what we're talking about here literally is an expertise, right?
It
That's
is.
when the ability to interact with the people around us is not an easy process. It's I call it a muscle that has to be developed.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
when you look at this, this process or whatever. Uh, Yeah, it's what are you seeing with the leaders that you work with? That because the question I've written down ahead of time is that what are leaders not getting yet in today's time, in today's culture, in today's socio and economic circumstances we're dealing with?
I think if I could have a magic wand and be a goddess for a day, I would go into everybody's dreams at night and help them have this crazy, vivid dream that they just couldn't shake in the morning, where they realize that we're all adults. Like when we're at work, there's not big adults and little adults just because you have a big title or a fancy car. Like we're all people with 24 hours a day. And sort of like if we could actually start seeing that we're all people with one short life that have 24 hours a day, and we could really start looking for the skills and talents in everyone around us instead of assuming the people who are paid the most know the most and always have the best and right answers. I think the magic is when you can get people to share their point of view and react to things and make better decisions and really balance what we're doing in the company, for the customer, in the community, for the world, for the future. Like if we all put our heads together to share what we know about those things and how the ideas we have to solve those problems together, we're going to have much better outcomes, much better engagement, and a much better time than this terrible, terrible history of a handful of people going into a room and coming out with surprise. You know, it's
Hmm.
ridiculous that we're not using all of the knowledge and wisdom that's in every one of our bodies for many generations. Like, we actually get to unleash that. We get to see each other with all of these gifts and all this wisdom that is tucked inside of every single soul.
Yeah, what you're saying is that from a leader, we have to give great um, effort to redirect our definition of what makes me effective as a leader.
Yeah, one of
And
the chapters in my book is called From Commander to Coach.
thank
And it's
you.
sort of like I now that I've not only led a self-directed organization where I gave up my own power as the managing director and really just became a supporter of all the teams and tried to give the power back to them and make everything really radically transparent and fiercely inclusive. I got to know a lot of people in similar organizations through like the Teal Network and other organizations as we got to know each other more and more. There's a lot of companies that are taking this leap to really flip that triangle upside down or turn it into a circle where the leader's job is to engage and enroll and activate and empower. And it is way more fun to do that than to hold the pressure and the responsibility. You have to hit every goal by yourself or you're going to die or be fired, you know?
Hmm.
I think that it's very cool when people do finally just relax into the true leadership of using your energy to activate everyone else's and getting
Yes.
to know them for the humans they are. And when you do it right, your customers, your suppliers, your colleagues, they become your friends for life.
Yeah, it would happen because of, again, we're talking, it's connection. Uh,
Hmm.
and there's such power with what you're talking about, Kelly, in the form of developing yourself in your career and becoming more effective as a leader. That if you can recognize your role is to uh, allow the people around you to have a voice at the table, even if what they're saying is the same thing that you know. The problem we have as leaders a lot of times is we're the first to speak. That we go in and we feel like as a leader, I'm supposed to have all the answers. And
Hmm.
what I find is that's exactly the opposite. It's the leader's supposed to get the answer. And if I can allow the other people around me to have a voice at the table, they'll own they'll own the result much more than if I come in and tell them and give them a directive.
Even the first step, it's okay to have an idea. You do have experience and wisdom and things from if you've been in your career 30 or 40 years and you're with people who've been in their career 10 or 20 years, you certainly do have more experience, but you don't have all the experience.
Right.
And so I think that what I would recommend is just saying, I've got an idea. There's something that's really in my heart right now, or something I really want to do. And then have a roundtable with people who don't look like you, older, younger, work, factory workers, like someone from accounting, somebody from marketing, and sit around a table and say, I have this idea. What would you do to make it better? Or what would you challenge it? Or what do you tell me what I'm not seeing about it? Like what's left unsaid here? And let
Hmm.
people add and build and destroy and change and create and shape. And just get used to this idea that we're better together.
Yeah, huge. I mean, it's just I've got uh, family member, friend, who worked for Amazon for a number of years and had a chance to have some interaction with the leadership meetings that Jeff Bezos would run.
Okay.
And
That'd be
he,
fun.
and part of their culture was what Taylor was explaining to me was he spoke last.
Mm,
And the reason why is because as soon as he started talking, people stopped thinking
mm.
because they wanted to do what he wanted and he had to learn. And so that became part of their culture. That was their drive because it falls in line with what you're talking about is that you have great ideas and you have to be willing to share them. Doesn't mean you have to go first because if you go first,
Yeah,
then
and it doesn't mean you're right, but you got to get the ideas deposited on the table and then sort through them. I mean, one of the things that I always get back, and including from some of my own teammates, like recently I got a text message from one of my colleagues at Niaga because he had finished my book and he said, I liked it all and I remembered so many stories, except I'm still struggling with this idea of consent-based decision making. He was like, it takes so much time to like get everybody involved in decisions. I would never advocate for consensus because it takes forever to get everyone on board. But I
hmm.
love consent-based decision making, and yet I acknowledge why people find it frustrating. Consent says you have to declare someone the decision maker who is going to have to pull up and make the shot.
Hmm.
But the process is to share the decision you're about to make and invite more data, invite more criticism, invite dissent. And then
Hmm.
when you know there is dissent, you have to either shift to evolve and adapt your decision and then check again, or you have to make the decision documenting the dissent so that not so they can say, I told you so, but so they know that they were heard.
Correct.
But then once a
Yes.
decision is made, we lock arms and we move forward together.
Hmm.
And so it does take a lot of safety and a lot of care and a little bit more time to make sure that you're circling the wagons and then making that decision and living with it. But it's the next person's turn. You know that you'll be respected in being able
Mhm.
to share your 2 cents on whether this is going to hurt or help the firm or hurt or help the world or hurt or help the customer. Like
Yeah.
it's not easy, but it's worth it.
Yeah, but you're on a really important subject in today's time, and that's the word time. Is that we're in such a speed environment where
Yeah.
we're basing things about how fast can we get things done, how efficient can we get things done. And there's Max Dupree writes about in his book Leadership as an Art, the difference between effective and efficient. Sometimes
Hmm.
something is efficient, but it's really not effective, and because of the time element, sometimes speed is our enemy because we're moving too fast to get a result, as opposed to number one, the best result, and number two, get
Yeah.
buy-in from the team so they can be part of the result.
I can't. I was woke up this morning really feeling that about writing a blog about the power of the pause. As I used to argue with an investor in one of the projects I was working on, they were feeling a lot of pressure about an acquisition that was a little sideways because a lot of people were quitting and stuff. And they had a particular project that was creating a lot of disagreement and tension between two teams. And I was like, I think we need to pause that project. And he hated the word pause. He couldn't stand that I kept using the word pause. Like, we can't stop. I'm like, if you stop and you reevaluate and you put it on a higher path, you're going to have better outcomes, better engagement, and better enrollment, better execution. But there was a refusal to pause, even for 3 days,
Mm,
and to get the team together to go, let's all calibrate. No, I
yeah.
mean, I think there's so much value in pausing daily in our own lives just to get settled and centered in ourselves with meditation and 5 minutes of silence. But it's so important to reflect from time to time. It's so important to look objectively at something for more than a minute and pause, pivot, or persevere. I mean, the power of the pause is precious, and yet it seems like people feel like they're failing if they
Especially,
if
yeah,
they wait a
especially those of us
second.
that are results based. In other words, our excuse me, our value is based upon getting a result, getting a result, getting a result.
Yeah.
And the challenge we have is that if we're focused on that, we're not getting the result. We're just getting a result. And you and I are like-minded because in the book Equipped to Lead, I talk about the go to neutral, the importance of go to neutral. Because
I
like
like
you,
that.
people say pause, whatever. So, but I said go to neutral. I'm not going to go forward. I'm not going to. But when you get in that place of neutral, you're allowing the car to idle, and you're able to say, now what do we do?
Okay.
Do we move forward? Do we go backwards? I've now added to that. I call it the 3 second pause. It's like when the amygdala hijack, that part of our brain kicks into
Yeah,
fight or
yeah.
flight. That's is that what happens if you tell the amygdala, go, okay, I'm going to pause for 3 seconds. I'm going to slow down, and what it does is it stops that chemical going to your brain from continuing to peak up and allowing it to come back down again. What you're talking about, the power of the pause, has to do with if you take the word pause and you marry it to the word clarity. Right? In other
Hmm.
words, I'm pausing not out of procrastination. I'm pausing not out of lack of confidence. I'm pausing to bring more clarity to what the next step needs to be. Now you got power.
Well, I'll add to that when you're ready. Go
Please
ahead.
have at it.
Well, the other thing that I think a lot of people may not know. So, over the last 3 years, I've been doing a lot of Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditations on the mind body connection. And I go to several of their retreats here and I meditate pretty much every day. And when you're quiet, you get beyond the possibilities that you have the capability of imagining to tapping into the infinite possibilities that are actually out there.
Hmm.
So, any human, even if you're Einstein or you're a complete certifiable genius, you only have so many possibilities that you can consider inside of your body and your stories and your limits. And if you get really good at getting roundtables and things together, you expand the possibilities for potential solutions to any problem or any innovation by factors. But no group of humans knows more than all of the possibilities that exist in the universe. And you find them by being quiet and asking for help.
That's powerful. Especially the last sentence, asking for help. Uh,
Yeah, and if you do
there's
like
a,
start trying to manifest, I highly recommend saying, "Oh, I really would love to have some new thinking and some new ideas around this thing because I want this outcome or something better." Always say or something better at the end because the
Mhm.
possibilities are endless.
They're massive. And what you're talking about when you talk about manifest for people who need some help with what that, it's a way of triggering your reticular activator, which is
Mhm.
that part of our brain that says, this is important. Go find this for me. I've shared the story with audiences before when I bought my daughter her first her car in high school, and we stumbled all day long. We looked at car after car after car, and at the end of the day, we bought a Hyundai Elantra. And
Okay.
because she's daddy, that's that I like this car. It's silver and it's really cool. I mean, it looks like a car to me, but she's really fired up about it. And what was awesome is that they must have had a sale that weekend on silver Hyundai Elantras in Houston, Texas, because on Interstate 10, which is one of the busiest highways in the United States, I'm driving to work in a sea of silver Hyundai Elantras. All right. Now, was there a big sale over the weekend? Nope. But it has to do with the reticular activator kicking in. And what
Mhm.
happens is when you're talking about manifest, if you sit and you think about, okay, this is important to me.
Yeah.
This isn't, center yourself down, make yourself open to that by placing your mind on something of sense of importance and then stepping back and then, if you're spiritual, that God can bring it to you. If if it's better for you to say, let the universe bring it to you. It's
They're all the
amazing.
same.
Yeah, it's amazing, the gifts that you're given as you go down that road.
I
Uh,
think everybody has the experiences of like thinking about a friend they haven't talked to for a long time and they call or write you within a minute or a day, like, and that's just an example of the heart-brain coherence that's available for everybody.
mhm.
A lot of people don't want to believe it, but that's actually just what the fact that we are this essential life force, this unexplainable life force. It's the same thing that opens the flowers and brings the leaves out on the trees. Like it's the same thing that has our life and death cycle moving and activated all the time. And so when you sort of tap into that essential life force, which is the flowy love I'm talking about, you're always carrying this energy around that is connecting us to everything. And it's
Mhm.
sort of like the more that you are able to play with it and activate it, you'll find all kinds of cool things falling into your path and new people that are working on something similar who want to have a great conversation and lend a hand. It doesn't all have to be so hard, and it doesn't all have to be from direct human material work.
Yeah, but it's one of my favorite quotes that I saw was on that subject as a leader is that the future of your company resides in the energy of your people. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's it, the energy of your people. And as a leader, if we recognize that, we move out of just task-minded, autocratic type of environments to really have collection of people coming together to drive initiatives forward and help
Well,
companies to
that's
be
the
able to
power
evolve.
of purpose. Like I think that back to Simon, like the power of why,
Mhm.
starting with why. The more and more and more that people are coming to work because they know they're doing something important that they care about the outcome, they care about the impact, they care about the company's mission, and they feel a part of it and they feel responsible for it, the better the work will be. When you have a
Mhm.
shared purpose and mission, like you just can't sleep until this thing is better for the world. That is an entirely different rallying cry than the quarterly results so that we all keep our jobs, and we get our bonuses, yay. But
That,
like
that, that
shared purpose is so powerful and
That is
so
so
important.
huge. I interviewed LaRue Coleman, who is built. He short. I have to shorten the story so you can put context around it. But young man, he went to work for his girlfriend's window washing company, and then a couple of years later bought it. And
Okay.
the girlfriend went by the wayside, but he kept the company. But he built it up to where it was washing the windows of like 90% of the windows in downtown Houston. And then it got to the point
Okay.
where it was washing the windows of 90% of like five major cities around the United States. I mean, we're talking about a company that was
A
explosive.
lot of
Yeah,
windows.
yeah, he and I got in this conversation because they went from that to doing work with like elevator um, facades and stuff and elevators and stuff. And so his average tenure of his leadership team was 30 years. And the
Wow,
average,
that's
that's
great.
he kept people for that long. And he said his favorite story, because I asked him, so what connects people like that? He said, well, I had somebody came in one day and he said, LaRue, he said, I got this book. I got this book I've been reading. And he said, tell me about it. He goes, it's the history of paint. And I'm going, oh, that sounds fascinating. But he was so connected to his role, his value, that that's where his passion came out.
Yeah,
And LaRue
that's
was
great.
wide as enough to be able to fan that flame and say, "Tell me about it. But it's that person was committed to the company and its cause and what it was doing and its contribution. And I think what Kelly, as you were talking, the thought hit me was sometimes it's important for us to make people feel cared for. And when you do that, they feel provided for. But I think more importantly, our discussion is making me really think about, does somebody feel cared about? Which is
Hmm.
a which is to me is a deeper level along those lines. If I feel like you care
Yeah, the
about me,
forward implies some subordination to me.
yes.
Like the forward says like parent child or
Hmm.
big small, and just like I hate the word delegate. Like I want to strike it from the universe because delegation automatically implies subordination. Like I have work that needs to be done and you're gonna do it. Versus enrollment. Enrollment is this idea that the company has this project that needs to be done, and I think you're the perfect person for it. Would you like to take on that responsibility? Do you have time? How would it affect the rest of your work? And when you then pause and let somebody say, thank you, I would love to do that. It's good for you. It's good for me. It's good for everybody. That's great. But if they say, oh, shoot, I just agreed to a different project yesterday, we're going to have to work that out. Or, oh my gosh, I found out my son has a drug problem and I'm going to need to spend more time at home. It's just not the right time for me to pick that up for you. I wouldn't want to let you down. Like that's about safety and about connection
Hmm.
and about caring and about curiosity. Like, I think you're the perfect person, but instead of me telling you it's what you're going to do, I get to say, would you be willing to do it of your own free will? Because when people choose things for themselves, they do a much better job than if they do it
Yeah.
because they have to.
You're also creating an atmosphere for more information coming to the table, because the third
Absolutely.
response could be is like, I no, I don't think I'm capable of that.
Then you can
And,
say, oh,
and now it's a development opportunity. Let's talk about that. Let's speak into it.
what
That's
would make it safe for you? How can I
Yeah.
make sure that you have the right support so you can thrive?
It's we talk about work and home, whatever. I'm a very fortunate man because my wife sees me better than I see myself,
Mm,
and she
I need a partner
constantly
like that.
speaks into me. And as I say, she goes. I say the language she uses. I describe her. She sees me the way God created me to be, not the limitations I put on myself. And she
Wow.
speaks that into me, which is the reason you and I are talking today. And the reason for
Wow.
that is because of the fact that when I started down this journey, I'm going, I don't know. And she goes, Mike, this is you. This is go do this. And she just saw it. And so it moved from me just sitting down with a piece of paper and just scribing notes to converting my office from an office to a studio. And so it's been wild. And I think as leaders, that's what we need to do. We need to interact with people and be able to convey to them and help them see what they're capable of, not just what we ask them to do. And it's that stretch.
Without this edge of I know more than you do, or I know better
Oh,
than you, or I see potential that you don't see in yourself. It's got to come from a place of respect and love. And also respect that maybe that person does have more potential, but it's not the right time to push on it. Like
yeah.
it's really about loving them to say, um, I believe in you. And I see that you have so much talent and so much skill and so much capacity. Are you ready for more?
Hmm.
Would you like to push a little harder? What's right for you?
Hmm. Yeah. It goes back to that my definition of EQ. It's not original, but it's the one that I use is, can I see life through somebody else's perspective?
Yeah.
And the more I do that, the higher my EQ score is going to be, emotional intelligence score. Can I see things through
Yeah.
Kelly's perspective versus just mine?
Well, we could use a heck of a lot more of that right now. That
Yes.
might be the thing that drives me craziest at the moment when I watch people judging migrants, or I watch people like being so toxic towards
Hmm.
not seeing another person for the human and brother and sister that they are, but really reducing them to something insignificant or something bad or something harmful to them. And it's sort of like even people who have done something terrible, we have this hurt people hurting people everywhere we turn. And we don't make
Hmm.
that better by lighting a fire under that. We make that better by heading towards a path of forgiveness and redemption.
Hmm.
And I just really feel like the more and more and more that we have this um, moment of people that feel absolute permission to just cut each other down and to minimize each other. I can't wait to see what the world's going to be like when they're all reincarnated, because I sort of feel like if you're going to be reincarnated into the person you marginalize the most, we're going to have a really fascinating round two.
Yeah, it's be kind of interesting along those lines. And so, it's as we wrap things up here, Kelly, I just, yeah, this is not an easy subject to talk about because of some of the labels that we put on things. But thank you so much for bringing the clarity, I think, around this definition of relationship at work. And as you were talking just now, I'm going, how important is it for us to remove ego from our interaction with each other? The self ego. I'm not talking about making ourselves feel demeaned, but
No,
moving.
ego serves us.
That's right.
Like the thing is, like, I don't think we have to fear our egos. We just have to keep them in check,
That's
because
it.
without our ego, we wouldn't have them forward motion. It
Hmm.
takes our ego and our hunger for something to be pursuing something for our self-interest and for other people's interest. I think the question is, do you have a relationship with yourself where you have what you need? If your own needs aren't met, good luck with like
Hmm.
really loving and serving others. But once you are really good, like I find everything I need inside of me, and then you have this remarkable capacity to see and hear and connect to others. Like your ego then is like, have I done enough? I am powerful. I
Hmm.
have a big ego, but that ego is in service to using my life force to make a difference. And
Hmm.
and so it's sort of like we all have the capacity to be extremely toxic, and we all have the capacity to be extremely ineffective. We all have the capacity to get it just right. So I think if we can let that ego pursue the greatest good, you don't have to sacrifice your greatest good in the pursuit of the greatest good for everyone.
Yeah, it's well stated. I mean, I want to thank you for being this amazing mirror today. And what I mean by that is
Aw.
that for those of you who are listening in or watching, um, this is about self-reflection. When you read this book, I think it's a key aspect of the fact that Kelly, you're challenging us to look at how do we interact with each other, and are we doing it in a manner that causes not only the people we're interacting with to grow, but I think look in the mirror and say, where do we need to grow? How do we become more effective in the relationships around us? Because then we're
Mhm.
coming in and we're doing what we're created to do, which is impact the lives of others. And so I want to thank you
Love
so much for your time. If you want to reach out to Kelly, it's in the show notes. You'll see her website. Matter of fact, hold your book up again so you can see
Oh, sure.
this amazing cover. This love works actually does, and it's yeah, love is a four-letter word, but it's not a bad four-letter word. So,
The
Kelly,
best
thank you so
one.
much for your time and your heart today.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing your story. And thanks to your wife, because I think she's setting a great example for me to how to support a great man.
Ah, super. Thanks so much. And it's been
Thanks
like,
for joining us today on Lighting the Path Strategies for Tomorrow's Leaders. If anything in this podcast speaks to you, if I've challenged you, or if you want to spend time digging into this subject a little deeper, or if you disagree with me, reach out. My contact information is on our website, lightingthepath.net, or email me at mike@mikelejeune.com. Also, look for me on LinkedIn. I'd love to connect our networks. Keep lighting the path for those who choose to follow you. It's more than a responsibility, it's an honor.